Is it really an internet-based music channel if we're not talking about Kanye West right now? But fear not, the word skeet will not be uttered here. I just want to talk about the first episode of the pretty amazing, actually, Jeen-Yuhs documentary that's just dropped on Netflix. Quick heads up, there will be some spoilers in this review, so if you want to go in completely clean, please do go and just watch the documentary. Or if you want to see my reaction to it, that is up there for the Patreon army, link down in the description, that's there for you. So in case you didn't know, this first episode, or Act 1 as it's called Vision, and it's a lengthy collection of this amazing footage collected by a guy called Kudi, who is following a sort of completely unknown and then a kind of basically unknown Kanye West from complete obscurity to the point where he signs his record deal with Rockefeller Records. So you're thinking about like 1998 to 2004. Seeing Kanye at this young age, prior to the accident, prior to the success, prior to being Kanye, it feels like such a privilege if you're a fan. This whole episode is basically Last Call, the movie. You know Last Call, right? One of the greatest outros of all time from The College Dropout. And while Jeen-Yuhs, as a film, it does have problems, which I'll go into later, the moments it gives us are almost instantly legendary. You may have already seen that footage that's going around of Kanye playing All Falls Down to basically bored record executives and actually just record label employees at Rockefeller Records. It's kind of a mad bit of footage, but what an amazing insight into Kanye's drive and the madness of kind of group perception. What I mean by that is, like, how did you feel when you first heard that track? Whether you're old like me and you heard it when it first came out, or perhaps you came to Kanye's discography later, pretty much everybody has the same reaction, right? It's fucking amazing. Well, clearly not. Look at the bored look in these people's faces. What a great insight into working at a label and I guess just kind of like building up this resistance to rappers and artists coming in probably every single day and insisting they play you their new track, insisting that they're going to be the one that makes it next. But also it's a great indication to kind of like where the whole rap industry and music was at the time. When Kanye broke through in like 2004 as an artist, it was an incredible breath of fresh air for rap as a genre, even as far as it made it over to here on these shores, but in music in general. Certainly my perception of rap and hip hop around that time is it just become completely synonymous with like bravado and violence. And I felt like the industry at the time was just desperately searching for another in the club. I mean, do you remember that song Tipsy? Everybody in the club getting tipsy. It was just that constantly. But just seeing these moments, it feels like such a privilege, honestly. Even in this awful 140p max footage. I mean, cameras in the early 2000s was so bad. I've got footage of me and my friends from all the way back then as well, trying to make films on these like Sony handhelds. Awful. But even with the quality of the footage being so bad, the gems in this film. The moment where Kanye's speaking in his car to an interviewer from Rolling Stone, the guy calls him Kane, by the way, speaking with a kind of self-belief and near manic confidence that would kind of become associated with him later on in his career. But here, prior to him even having a song on the radio, there's this incredible shot where he kind of says hello to Jay-Z at Hova's own party and like a line of people. And obviously they knew each other at this point, but basically Kanye was just another acquaintance. And just seeing Kanye's kind of like humility in that moment compared to the superstar and basically compared to the place where he wanted to be in Jay-Z. It's a really like magical moment to be captured on film. The moments with Mos Def and Talib Kweli where they believed in him in a way that other people didn't. The footage of him creating Jesus Walks. I mean, the fact that stuff exists is just such a treat. The whole thing actually reminds me of what Gary Vaynerchuk often says. Now, Gary, if you don't know him, Joe, can you pull up a little bit of footage of him?
But do I have the fucking obnoxious audacity?
He's a bit manic. He can often be a bit much, especially if you follow him on multiple social platforms. But he's also always espousing the importance. His line, he always repeats, document, don't create. Now, I kind of believe it's document and create. What he means by that is that we shouldn't be like stuck trying to create something perfect. Just tell the story with documentation of what is happening all around you, and that will become a creation in itself. And that is central to what this is. Without Cody's instinct to just kind of pick up from what he was doing and suddenly decide to follow this like sort of known producer and basically unknown rapper, all of these moments would have been lost. In fact, this footage is so valuable, the whole thing could actually probably be completely re-edited to tell the story of the rise of Chicago as like a hip hop and rap powerhouse from early 2000s onwards. That's how valuable it is and all the different players involved. But even with all these amazing moments, Jeen-Yuhs Act 1, Episode 1 is far from perfect, to be honest. As a documentary, it's glorious for us hardcore fans. But I'm not telling any casual observers to tune into this. It's bloated, it's often meandering, it's very repetitive at times. Now for me and you, assuming you're a big Kanye fan like me, even these moments have value. But a truly great documentary has the power to pull in people who have basically no interest in the subject matter at hand through the power of great storytelling, structure, narrative. This doesn't quite have that. Genius just feels looser and more drawn out than a lot of the laser precise documentaries that we see on Netflix these days. In fact, early on in the film, Cody mentions being inspired by Hoop Dreams, which itself is a superb film, but similarly drawn out. You can definitely feel the influence here, but much like Hoop Dreams as well, this episode really does showcase the power of a singular moment to change the course of your life. And you might recognize that moment at the time, like here in the film where Ye meets up with Scarface to play him some tracks, and Scarface ends up calling Family Business incredible. Now, nothing actually came out of those two working together at the time, but that moment you could see really was another spark for Kanye. But you might not realize until years later, like when Donda tells Kanye that even giants look in the mirror and see nothing. For me, this feels like the moment I first heard Spaceship from The College Dropout. I knew at that moment, and I can picture it in my mind, that I was going to get out of my dead-end job that I hated and was basically killing me physically and mentally, to try and be brave enough to go and pursue my dreams. And this was at 22, I'm nearly 40 now. But only years later did I think of meeting Ali, a work colleague who worked at that same job for maybe 5 weeks. A guy I've literally never seen or spoken to since he left. I can't even really remember what he looks like, but he's the guy who burnt me a copy of The College Dropout, Don't Tell the Feds, and insisted I listen to it right there and then in the office that we both worked at. I wouldn't be talking to you about this right now without Ali. Moments, that really is what this documentary is all about. And what I'll take away hugely from this episode is inspiration, and I'm sure so many of you will as well. Kanye's indefatigable self-belief actually doesn't come without fear or without actual self-doubt. These moments where everyone is actually ignoring him in the Rockefeller offices, we see Kanye in a way that we don't really see him anymore. Vulnerable, shy. Well, he's not defeated, he definitely looks a little crestfallen. But later we have him speaking to MTV, I think it was, with this unerring determination about how not only he was going to make it, but how he was going to stand for something with his music, and he was going to commit to basically being himself. But the yourself that he talks about, or the himself that he talks about, is never like a fixed thing. It's never fully defined. And in many ways, I feel like Kanye never really stopped searching for himself, even all the way up until now. Just reading between the lines of these latest Instagram posts. The heart of this episode, though, undoubtedly in my mind, is Donda. There's a magical moment in the film where Kanye returns home, seemingly in the middle of the night, and just seeing her light, her calm, and her belief in her son, it really is something to behold. She has this truly special energy about her, even just in this scene. The clarity in her voice, simultaneously soothing but completely captivating. She's just casually offering up these nuggets of incredible wisdom, grounding Kanye, but also instilling unshakable confidence in him at the same time, culminating in that line about the giants in the mirror. The connection between these two showcased here, and it's kind of like honestly magical scene. I think it says more for everything we've experienced with Ye over the years, more than the drama, all the press and escapades and the crazy moments. Here, this relationship, here is the heart of the music. Family business. Listen, roll on the next episode. Let me know your thoughts on the episode down in the comments. What moments struck with you? What are you taking away from it? And just roll on the next one.